The telegraph was a monumental invention that sparked a revolution of communication and paved the way for modern-day technology. The development of the telegraph was a sequence of many experiments which were performed by different scientists for a number of years before the successful telegraph came into being in 1837. It started as early as 1753 when a Scott magazine proposed an electrical telegraph. The idea was transmitting messages using one wire to represent each letter in the alphabet sequence. In 1774, George Lewis implemented an electrical telegraph which had independent wires for each of the 26 letters and was usable in between two closed rooms. In 1880, Alessandro Volta came up with a voltaic pile. This allowed a continuous flow of electrical currents for experimentation, which was far more effective than the electrostatic telegraph, which temporarily discharged. Another experiment was the electrochemical telegraph invented by Samuel Thomas von Sommering, who was a German anatomist. His design used 35 wires for all Latin letters and numeric. Information could electrically be transmitted up to a distance of 1 to 2 kilometers, with individual wires dipped in a glass cylinder of acid. In 1820, Hans Christian Ørsted developed that currents produce magnetic fields which bounces off a compass pointer. Still in 1820, Jonathan Schweiger discovered a galvanometer with a round of wire wound on the compass which could perform as a responsive gauge for electric current. André Marie Ampère established that a system of galvanometers connected to each one wire could form a telegraph. In 1825, the electromagnet was invented by William Sturgeon. Single windings of uncoated wire on a covered rod iron increased magnetic fields. Joseph Henry improved this concept by adding more windings of wrapped wire around a bar, creating a strong electromagnetic which could run a telegraph over a long stretch of telegraph wires.
Hello. I am a strange British man that will be taking over the video because Jack's voice is boring. So buckle up and get ready for this dope history lesson. Samuel Morse and his assistant Alfred Vail established and registered a recording electric telegraph in 1837. Vail developed a register which could record the received messages. Morse and Alfred invented the Morse code, a language that interpreted the electrical pulses and turned them into letters usable in messages. Very few people knew the language, and the only people who use it today are some people in the military. The Atlantic Telegraph Company was established in 1856 in London. It was intended to construct a commercial telegraph running in the Atlantic Ocean. The first contact which was made conveyed through the submarine telegraphic line came from Newfoundland in the beginning of August 10, 1858. This discovery was revolutionary because it allowed the United States to communicate with the strange European island across the Atlantic Ocean, also known as England.
In conclusion, it's evident that the development of the telegraph was a broad process which took much time and resources. The invention was monumental because it was the first method of long-distance communication that did not involve a human physically moving to another location. It also changed news coverage in a way that was never before seen. Before, most newspapers and mail were delivered by horseback, which meant if somebody sent something, it could take weeks before reaching its intended recipient. A message going from point A to point B on a telegraph took merely minutes. The phones and radios we use today all evolved from the telegraph and could not have been done without it.